it's the 25th of October 2025. We're in Belmore Park in Sydney, just opposite Central Station. It's the Animal Rights March. Sorry, I should take two, but I can't be bothered. You got a few. There's a few cops as they just focused on, but there's very few people here. It looks like they have a stage up the top there. A lot of people in black. I think that's the knitting nanas, maybe over there, or I don't know who they are. The yellow, all the people dressed in yellow. So we'll have a look and see what happens. Yeah, it's looking, it's supposed to kick off in about 10 minutes. There's a very small crowd. I think that's just how it is with some rallies. So, and there's a guy living there in the background in his tent. Yeah, let's see how it goes. So this is about getting close to 12:30 now, and nothing's happened, but there's a few more arrived. It's gotten a little bit bigger. You've got these guys here in the yellow who are, I believe, I would have to say, I don't know, but I have to say they are Buddhists, because it's got suprememastertv.com and some other odds and ends, and they've got their signs out. What's it say? Be vegan, keep peace, vegan new life. So quite 100% certain. They're gathering into position now. The yellow shirts. City Animal Rights March. WatchDominion.com, which I have watched. And you got, I think, other people holding their signs up in the background. But, yeah, there are just a contingent of the group here today, getting a photo op while they've got a second.
Were bred into existence
All right,
for
it's
the
off.
sole purpose of being used by the human species. We
where the
stand in
stage is.
opposition to animal exploitation across all industries. Hello everyone, my name is Ayanthi and I'll be guiding us through today's march. It tickles me to be standing here as your MC today, as it was 7 years ago that I turned up to my first animal rights march in Sydney, then called the March to Close All Slaughterhouses back in 2018. I have my Facebook algorithm to thank for it popping up on my feed as a suggested event. At the time, I was on the precipice of becoming a vegan and curious about what there was to do to actually help our interspecies kin. I remember quietly standing in the crowd. I had arrived alone, not knowing anyone else in attendance. I watched the speakers embody a deep conviction, like Josh Agland, the former electrician, sharing about his haunted experiences working on the kill floors of slaughterhouses, and Izzy Vera powerfully exclaiming, "No more blood on our hands," through the loudspeaker. Walking alongside hundreds of others who had shown up for the same purpose created a shift in me. I knew I wasn't an alien in the movement for animal liberation. There are people who care, who are brave, and who have utilised their experiences, their knowledge, and their skills to carve out a space for their voices to be heard. For anyone who is here today, who felt how I felt all those years ago, who have arrived with trepidation, please know that you are not alone in your feelings about animals. Know that you're amongst a community who feel this injustice in their bones. Moving through a non-vegan world can be incredibly soul-depleting. So much so that it can lead even the most seasoned and dedicated of activists to burnout and apathy. We cannot afford to become apathetic. That's why today is so important. We need to transmute our feelings of despair and anger into constructive advocacy. We need you, and the animals need you. Before we begin, I'd like to invite you to take a moment to imagine the world we are working towards. My therapeutic work as a psychologist has allowed me to grasp how powerful of a tool our imagination is. We can use it to re-script our painful memories, to regulate our nervous system, and to cultivate hope. We all know what horrors exist for the trillions of enslaved animals in this world. What I'd like you to bring to mind instead is the kind of world that could exist when animals are emancipated from the shackles of human domination. If you ever feel disillusioned by the long road ahead, remember, this is not the first movement that has been met with resistance and ridicule, despite it being grounded in evidence. This is the nature of challenging the status quo. What I've come to realise is, as cynical, misanthropic and fatigued we can become in this movement, we also have a fiercely stubborn sense of hopefulness. And this is exactly what I'd like you to lean into right now. If you feel comfortable doing so, I'd like you to close your eyes or soften your gaze and draw your attention to your breath, noticing each in-breath and each out-breath. Imagine slaughterhouses no longer in existence. No wailing behind the blood-spattered walls, these buildings replaced by facilities of education and innovation. Gestation stalls, branding irons, castration kits, insemination guns and electroejaculators only being found in museums, archiving torture devices of the past. The land once cleared for feedlots, now rewilded with forests, fruit trees, grain, fungi and wildflowers. Oceans free from fishing vessels, abundant with sea life, whales and dolphins migrating freely, no nets to suffocate turtles or sharks. Horses, camels and donkeys grazing and galloping across the plains, no dead weight on their backs. Greyhounds live only as beloved companions, not gambling fodder. Monkeys dwelling in trees and never in laboratories. Chickens scratching and dust bathing on jungle floors and not perched in wire boxes in the dark. Humans tread gently through the world, visionaries of harmonious living, not as dominators, but stewards of the natural world. Notice what envisioning this feels like in your body. Perhaps your breath has dropped deeper into your diaphragm. You may notice your chest feeling more open, the tension easing up in your forehead and shoulders, noticing a sense of relief and calm. This is what we are marching for. Not just a conceptual end to these industries, but to build this vision into reality. When you're ready, take another deep breath and open your eyes and look around. The people beside you are your collaborators, each bringing a unique piece of the puzzle to progress animal rights. Before we introduce our main speakers, I'd like to welcome Lynda Stoner to the microphone. Lynda is one of our most enduring voices for animals, an iconic figure on Australian television through the 80s and 90s. Lynda turned the spotlight of her public profile to the plight of animals. As a decades-long advocate and CEO of Animal Liberation, Lynda has witnessed not only the progression of the treatment of animals in our country, but also the life journey of other long-term advocates, including Christine Townend, a true foremother of the animal liberation movement in Australia, and whose work laid the groundwork for our campaigns today. Please join me in welcoming Lynda as we take a moment to honour Christine's incredible life and legacy.
Thank you. Thanks, Ayanthi. That was very beautiful and much appreciated. I would like to pay my respects to the Gadigal people who are part of the Eora Nation. I pay my respects to their elders, past and present, as well as to emerging leaders, and I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. I also thank the traditional custodians for caring for country for the last 60,000 plus years. Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander sovereignty was never ceded. This continent always was and always will be Aboriginal land. And I would also like to thank the organisers of today's march for this opportunity to share some of the extraordinary achievements of a truly amazing person, Christine Townend. She achieved so much in her life, it's breathtaking to contemplate. She was fearless while fighting for improved welfare for animals both in Australia and India. She was a person I long admired and was inspired by. She was a friend, and it was through this friendship and professional relationship that I was able to respond to her husband Jeremy's request to put Christine forward for an Order of Australian Medal, which unsurprisingly she won in 2022. She won the absolutely. Thank you. She won the Jean Marchig Award in 1996 and the Winsome Constance Kindness Medal in 2005, and also in 2022 she was awarded the Peter Singer Award for Lifetime Achievement through the Animal Justice Foundation. Thanks. She is somebody who deserves all the applause imaginable times 1,000. She was a forerunner in her vision, and in 1976 she founded the organisation Animal Liberation, having been, like so many of us were, influenced by Peter Singer's magnum opus book of the same name. Animal Liberation was arguably the first animal rights group in the world advocating for all species. In 1978, primarily due to her efforts, the New South Wales Animal Societies Federation was established. From this began the Animal Welfare Advisory Council to report to the New South Wales Government on animal welfare issues. Christine was appointed by the government to sit on the council as the delegate of ASF. During this period, for a time, she also served as a member of the CSIRO Advisory Committee on the Ethics of Animals in Research. In 1980, she and Professor Singer co-founded the Australian Federation of Animal Societies, which subsequently became the Australian and New Zealand Federation of Animal Societies and is now Animals Australia. For some years, she served as secretary to the Federation. In 1990, she was asked by its European funder to undertake an inspection of an animal shelter known as Help in Suffering, located in Jaipur, India. As a result of her visit to Help in Suffering, she was, in that same year, appointed its joint managing trustee, a voluntary position. She managed Help in Suffering until 2007, having been joined at the shelter by her husband Jeremy in 1992, and she remained a patron of Help in Suffering. In 1993, Christine established Darjeeling Goodwill Animal Shelter Trust, as a result of which came into being Kalimpong Animal Shelter and Darjeeling Animal Shelter, both being in the district of Darjeeling in the Indian state of West Bengal. Christine remained the founder trustee of DGAS, and she and Jeremy spent time at shelters each year. She had published non-fiction books, including In Defence of Living Things, A Voice for the Animals, and Pulling the Wool, a new look at the Australian wool industry. And in 2007, her biography, Christine's Ark, written by journalist John Little, was published by Macmillan. Moti, an Indian elephant, was published in India in 2014. She held a doctorate in poetry from the University of Sydney. Her poetry collection, Walking with Elephants, was published by Island Press in July 2015. Christine was also a fine artist. She held 5 solo art exhibitions. She used her art as a means of drawing attention to the needs and interests of animals. Her style of art is unique and instantly recognisable. In 1995, Christine initiated the incorporation of Help in Suffering New South Wales Inc., now Working for Animals Inc., an Australian NGO with the purpose of raising funds for animal shelters in India. Christine was a committee member of the Australasian Animal Studies Association, an assistant editor of the Australian Animal Protection Law Journal, a committee member of Working for Animals, and in 2017 became a director of Animals Australia, which is where I got to spend more years with her. All Christine's work for animals in Australia and India was done as a volunteer. She was one of the first animal welfare people to enter intensive battery, egg and piggeries. In the 1970s, she was also among the first animal welfarists to watch and provide evidence of the cruelty of mulesing. If you don't know, mulesing is a mutilation done to sheep that was and still is frequently done without anaesthesia. Christine devoted a large amount of time researching and calling for a ban on mulesing, while at the same time demanding pain relief prior to and post the mutilation. It's taken decades, but the wool industry has finally, in some quarters, begun to use pain relief. Christine fought almost to the end of her life trying to persuade wool growers to use non-wrinkly sheep who are less prone to fly strike. More and more growers are now selecting these kind of sheep and implementing pain relief. And a growing number of fashion houses overseas will not purchase Australian wool where sheep are being mulesed. Christine's 1985 book, Pulling the Wool, provided Australians with a stark understanding of the sheep industry's practices. Christine was also one of the first animal rights people to courageously watch slaughterhouse killing of animals in Australia and India, including kosher and halal slaughter, and report on them in her books and talks around the world. She was also permitted to go into animal experimentation laboratories, including those in the CSIRO, and observe experiments that continue to this day. Lay people are no longer permitted to enter these laboratories, but Christine shared with the world what is now kept secret and silent. She was the first animal welfare person to research the live export industry in Australia and discovered that New Zealand, a country that had depended more on this industry than Australia, had banned live exports in the 1970s. Christine was the first animal welfare person to contact the Minister for Primary Industries requesting a veterinarian accompany live export ships. The Minister agreed to this, and Roger Maisky was the first veterinarian to bear witness to the plight of animals on these ships. Decades would pass until a veterinarian would go on many ships, and it was Christine's initiative that was the catalyst for this. Christine was part of one of the first demonstrations against live export in Portland, Victoria, where she and other activists joined with the Australasian Meat Employees Union to protest live animals going overseas to be slaughtered. Over the years, Christine lobbied many politicians of all ideologies, both here and overseas, for improved welfare for animals. She has devoted hours that ran into years, all as a volunteer, speaking to rural groups and conferences and media at a time when the welfare and rights of animals were only just beginning to be discussed. She at times faced overwhelming opposition and remained courageous in the face of aggressive condemnation. Now the rights of animals are considered mainstream, and many changes have resulted in accordance with public sympathies, and Christine was the forerunner back 5 decades ago. For 17 years she was the managing trustee and now patron of Help in Suffering, a charitable animal welfare organisation with a large veterinary hospital providing care, treatment and nurturing to suffering animals in Jaipur. The charity rescues, treats, rehomes and releases many thousands of animals every year and is based in Jaipur and Bassi. Under Christine's leadership, Help in Suffering grew from a small, struggling animal welfare organisation employing only one part-time veterinary surgeon to a large, thriving welfare hospital with separate projects improving the welfare of street animals, working equids, camels, elephants, providing animal welfare education and street dog rabies control. Through Christine's management, Help in Suffering employed 7 veterinary surgeons and about 40 lay staff. It was intense and demanding work, Christine was in overall charge of the operation, initiating new projects, checking the animals with the vets, liaising with the funding bodies and government authorities, and writing multitudinous reports. In 1992, approximately 12 people died of rabies in Jaipur each year. Christine believed that the then current control measures of killing street dogs were not only cruel but ineffective in controlling street dog numbers and the transmission of rabies. In 1993, she was approached by the World Society for the Protection of Animals in the UK with a proposal that Help in Suffering should establish an ABC program in order to test the recently published WHO WHISPER guidelines. The ABC program involved catching the dogs on the streets, surgically sterilising them, vaccinating them against rabies, permanently marking each dog, and returning them to the address where they were caught. Christine accepted this challenge. The ABC program began in 1994, and Christine and Jeremy quickly established that it was successful, and the work was expanded to include all of Jaipur city with a population of 3.5 million people. By encouraging rigorous monitoring of the ABC work, Christine enabled the efficiency of this approach to be shown scientifically. Because of this scientific approach, the Jaipur ABC program has been used as a role model for humane street dog and rabies control throughout Asia. She established an ABC extension program to disseminate the results of the ABC work and to help other groups to undertake street dog control work humanely. Although not a scientist, Christine's leadership was crucial in documenting the results, leading to their publication in international journals and at WHO and FAO, as well as at international welfare groups. Since the program started, there has been no incidence of human rabies in Jaipur for possibly the last 5 or 6 years in the areas where Christine's Help in Suffering team worked. When Christine started the animal shelters in Kalimpong and Darjeeling, she implemented the same procedure there with equal success. She established at Help in Suffering in conjunction with the Brook Hospital for Animals from England a project to improve the welfare of the 6,000 working equids in the city. Sorry, I know I should probably wind up soon, but honestly, I can't. She just did so much. It is breathtaking, and I'm surprised she wasn't 300 years old when she passed away. This provided previously unavailable veterinary services to the animals and thereby improved the lives not only of the animals but of the many poor, often marginalised people who were dependent on them. Following the success of this equine project, Christine recognised the need to help in a similar manner the working or draft camels of the area, again benefiting not only thousands of camels but also the poor families dependent on the camels for their livelihoods. This led Christine to establish a specialised clinic for working camels in rural Rajasthan, which now treats 2,000 to 3,000 camels a month. Without Christine's foresight, these animals would be without veterinary care. While at Help in Suffering, Christine encouraged the provision of village veterinary camps to improve welfare of village animals and the rural poor dependent on them, thus demonstrating pragmatically that improving welfare of production animals and of people can be done simultaneously. Some camps treated in excess of 3,000 animals in a day. As I just said, it would require hours to cover all the work that Christine achieved, including her beautiful and captivating poetry and art, all of which were created to bring greater awareness of the suffering of animals in Australia and India, and to celebrate the lives she spent her life fighting for at great personal cost and financial expense. Christine and Jeremy's work in India helped innumerable people in India, including people in poverty-stricken villages. She helped by assisting them with food for their animals and for those in the village. She did this with her husband Jeremy, often without running water or electricity, during the times they were establishing the sanctuaries. Next year, Animal Liberation will celebrate its 50th year by commemorating some of the work this truly incredible human being achieved. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lynda, for your touching tribute to Christine. Just an exemplar of unrelenting devotion. That was, intense. If I had stumbled upon the Facebook page of a gun-toting ex-army tradie from Western Sydney, my superficial reading would have certainly profiled him as a bacon gif posting anti-vegan troll. Thankfully, stereotyping has its shortcomings, and our next speaker, Matt Stellino, is a stark reminder that even the most unlikely of characters can conceptualize, embrace, and champion the philosophy of animal rights. Matt's recognition of the inherent innocence and personhood of animals, in tandem with his military and sales experience, was carefully translated into mobilizing the local activist community at the time, providing mentorship and strategic direction for street activists, before pivoting into politics and becoming New South Wales' first animal justice counsellor and currently serving as the Deputy State Convener. Please welcome Matt.
Hello everyone. My speech is called An Audible Voice. When seeking to understand the world around us, philosophers propose a question that we are all familiar with, and that question is, if a tree falls in the forest and nobody is there to hear it, did it make a noise? Now, of course, if we look at the question from a purely scientific standpoint, we know that noise is a relationship that requires not only vibration in the air, but also an ear attached to a nervous system. Without the ear to hear, all you have is vibration in the air. I want to propose a different question here today. If an animal is murdered inside a slaughterhouse and nobody is around to hear their cries, did they suffer? We know that the screams and bellows of their cries will most certainly create vibration in the air. But without the ear to hear, this time, all you have left is the spin of marketing departments and industry propaganda, assuring you that the suffering did not take place. For most people, that propaganda is what forms the basis of their understanding. In an attempt to make the animals' voices heard, there are people that go into what can only be described as hell on earth in order to document and share the experience of the animals. They make it so the vibrations of those cries stand a chance of reaching humans' ears. All of us here today have heard the voice of animals, and the sound of their cries was audible. It was loud and it was clear, and it told us what they would tell us. I value my life and I do not want to die. That was enough to drive us to change. To put down the forks that held their flesh, to take off the garments made from their skin, to find no entertainment in forcing them to race, and to fight for their freedom from an oppressive system. But there are many others for whom the voice of animals is not audible at all. What makes that so is different for each person. For some, it's that the cries are not loud enough. For others, it's that the cries are not understood. There are those that refuse to even acknowledge the cries as real, no matter how much evidence and footage they are shown from farms and slaughterhouses. But finally, there are those who mock the cries. To summarise that last point, people who carry out cruelty and injustice to animals do so out of misbelief, complacent indifference, and intentional malice. It's my belief that it's the responsibility of everyone who has heard the voice of animals to do whatever they can, wherever they can, and whenever they can to amplify those voices, to make sure that they can reach not only the ears, but also the hearts of the complacent and the misbelievers. This takes place for many of us in our daily conversations. It takes place through the incredible activists who give up their weekends to stand in the street and challenge the social norms, or through our social media posts, where we implore our friends and family to see it how we see it, to see it for what it is. In doing this, we can, and we do, affect positive change all around us. However, the sad truth is that no amount of asking for empathy can reach a heart that is completely devoid of it. For those who would seek to cause intentional harm to animals, and for those that only speak the language of profit-driven suffering, a different approach is needed to bring them to heel. Only legislation can stop them. But that legislation must be fought for tooth and nail by someone with as much intelligence, love, and courage equal to the greed and malice that they would seek to inflict upon animals. Currently, animals amplify their voice through a 5-foot, 5-inch megaphone named Emma Hurst. And in doing so, they have managed to make entire industries shake. They've seen reforms made. They've seen CEOs retire in disgrace. And dreams of a kinder world for animals, which once seemed too fanciful to even speak of for fear of ridicule, now feel like they could be on tomorrow's sunrise. Emma is truly a tremendous advocate for animals. Emma was elected in 2019 for a term of 8 years, but that means that parliamentary term comes to end in 2027, and she'll need to be re-elected in order to continue that fight. I personally am kept awake at night by the possibility that she does not retain her seat and that the sunrise we seek may never come. If this possibility weighs on you like it does me, I urge you to burn the following 3 words into your brain: Animal Justice Party. The Animal Justice Party is the only political party the animals have. It's the only party that would never betray them. If Emma tapped you on the shoulder and asked you to come into her parliamentary office to assist her with work, I have absolutely no doubt that every face in this crowd would jump at the opportunity. Even if the day or 2 of work that was being asked for us was unpaid and we had to take leave from our regular jobs to do so, I'm sure that we would. Now, I don't know that each of us here possess the skills needed to do the work that her office requires, but I assure you that we all have the skills needed to get her back into that office. And I want to ask that everyone here today be as willing to help with that as you would be willing to help with the direct work. The elections are going to be held in March of 2027. Now, that may seem like a really long time away, but if you're like me and find yourself wondering how it is already almost November and where the year has gone, you know that those 17 months will go by in a flash. So I urge you not to delay. Get involved straight away. If you're not already, become a member of the Animal Justice Party, join your regional group, find out how we plan to get her back in. Share your ideas, share your time, and share your talents, because it really is going to take all of them. If everyone here today turned up to work pre-poll and election booths, that re-election would be an inevitable success. By the time the elections are here, Emma will have given 8 years of her life to serving animals in Parliament. And if we can give her a few days of ours, she will give them 8 more. Emma's going to speak today, so I don't want to go over all of her victories that her and her team have had, but suffice to say they are many. If I can leave you with just one thing, let it be this: animals deserve a kinder world, and they deserve rights. In that pursuit, Emma is an audible voice they simply cannot do without. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your wisdom and, again, strategic direction, Matt. I first met Sophie about 5 years ago during a volunteer working bee at Lucky Stars Sanctuary. We would have been giggling about whatever nonsense while putting together possum boxes with the rest of the group. Little did I know what a powerhouse of a woman Sophie was. Sophie embodies a unique duality. A snow-white nurturer figure with an affinity to care for little creatures in a cottage-like home by day, and a balaclava-clad investigator liberating enslaved animals by night. Sophie's rescue work has been documented through her Instagram stories and is a powerful reminder that the animals that we are fighting for aren't just a mass of depersonalized objects, but individuals with their own quirky personalities. I know I, alongside countless others, have loved getting to know some of Sophie's rescue animals, like Jamie the rooster, and seeing how much love and dedication was poured into his care. Please welcome Sophie.
I would like to share a story with you all from a night in December 2024. My comrade and I had been doing weeks of back-to-back slaughterhouse investigations. We were exhausted and looking forward to a short break over Christmas. But I had another short project of my own that I just needed one more shot for before we could rest. An image of a dead chicken in a broiler farm. It was a weeknight. We had work in the morning, but I knew a place. It wasn't too far. We'll be in and out in 5 minutes and we'll be home by 12 a.m., I told him. Little did we know that this night would end up being so much more than that. We arrived, and as I walked past each shed, I saw thousands of birds crammed wing to wing, panting in the heat. There were usually always dead bodies left at the entrance doors of this facility, but this time I couldn't see any. They must have cleaned up earlier tonight, I thought. I was almost ready to leave when my comrades suddenly stopped me. He pointed to a bird laying on his back, feet stiff in the air. We thought he was dead, and that was our shot. As I walked quickly toward him with my camera recording, I realized he was alive, trapped, panicked, and utterly defeated. I continued to film him struggling because this is the devastating truth that people need to see. I reached down, lifted him gently, and set him upright. We had no plan to take anyone this night, as broiler chickens are some of the hardest animals to rehome due to the immense one-on-one care and expenses that they need from the way that these industries selectively breed them. But as I packed my bag and turned around, my comrade looked at me and said, "Well, he's coming with us, isn't he? We can't just leave him." And that was it. That night, a nameless, broken bird on a shed floor, only a couple of days away from being slaughtered, became Jamie. We bathed him, fed him, booked him in for surgery to remove the deep pressure wounds on his legs. We built him a mobility chair. We moved house where he would have grass beneath his feet. We fell in love with him. He followed us everywhere, like a puppy. He loved to be sung to. He loved cuddles and would demand them from everyone who met him. His story traveled far beyond us, shared online by hundreds of people. Thousands of dollars were raised for his care. Every weekend, people came to meet him, brought him toys, wrote him letters. But when his crow became too loud for suburbia, and we knew he'd be happier at a sanctuary, New South Wales Hen Rescue took him in, and his story continued on with his Auntie Catherine and Uncle David. But at 9 months old, Jamie's body could no longer hold him. His legs gave out, his wounds wouldn't heal, and the tough decision was made to put him to sleep so he wouldn't suffer any longer. But his story still continues to be told today, in lectures by award-winning vet nurses on the other side of the world, by health coaches here in Australia in their talks about veganism, by activists in their outreach conversations, and multiple artists have drawn and painted his portrait. This teaches us that although one life rescued from a shed of tens of thousands may not seem like much in the unimaginably huge scale of animal cruelty in this world, that one life can ripple outward. His life continues to speak for the billions of broiler chickens who will never be known by name, who will never get a chance to feel the sun, to be loved, to be missed. In following his journey, people got to see how much joy and love a chicken is capable of both giving and receiving. I often think about the fact that the owners of that farm have no idea. They have no idea that one of their products was the most kind, funny, and beautiful boy, whose absence in this world has left a deep hole in our hearts, who I still cry myself to sleep over all this time later. But would they even care? These industries will do everything in their power to stop us from being able to share these horrific truths, and to stop people from seeing that these animals are no different to our beloved cats and dogs. Jamie's story was never meant to exist. In order to bring these truths forward, we have to climb fences and jump hurdles. Both the electrified barbed wire fences they build around these facilities and the political fences of laws like the Biosecurity Act and the New South Wales Surveillance Devices Act, with risks of up to hundreds of $1,000s in fines and years in jail. And the most recent precedent set in the Game Meats trial with Farm Transparency Project, that footage secretly recorded on a private property by trespassers can be held on constructive trust for the property owner, giving the owner the right to restrain its publication. This precedent protects the abusers who were captured in the footage, slaughtering newborn goats, painfully electrocuted after being left in a plastic bucket for hours, and one baby goat who was captured crying out in pain for hours after an unsuccessful stunning attempt left them partially paralyzed, alongside other horrific scenes. It is obvious that these industries are getting scared of the walls that activists are tearing down. Well, they can put up as many political, social, and steel fences in front of us as they want, because after years of doing this work, we've gotten very good at climbing and jumping and walking for miles. And believe me when I tell you that I have used only the sound of pigs screaming and the smell of death and disease to guide me to a factory farm in the black of night, and that the violence we have witnessed is so imprinted in our minds that there is no barrier that you could build that would ever deter us from exposing the truth. For Henry the sheep, whose leg was broken, being thrown onto a slaughterhouse truck and lived his liberated life in agony before finally succumbing to his injuries. For Zippy, Bella, and Jet, the dolphins, who as we stand here today are swimming laps in a chlorinated swimming pool prison in Coffs Harbour. For Britches, the monkey, who was removed from his mother at birth with his eyes sewn shut and head mounted on an electric sonar device in the name of science. For Felix, the calf, who was at no longer than 5 to 7 days old, dragged by his ears to the restraint and had his throat violently slit after spending the night prior doting on the activists that installed the cameras, like a playful, trusting puppy dog who tried to show the same love to the slaughterhouse workers right before they betrayed him. For Olivia, the mother pig, who was raped in her sow stall by Bradley O'Reilly at Midland Bacon Piggery in Victoria, who still walks free today. For our darling rooster Jamie, I love you, Jamie. And for every other animal who remains unnamed and unseen on the other side of the fence. Today we march for them, but every day we continue to fight to end these industries that exploit animals until all are free. Thank you, Sophie, for giving these individuals actual names, because as I said before, it's so easy to just see animals through this lens of they're just this blanket mass of objects that all their personhood is completely denied of them. But as we can see, they are people. They have personalities, they have the will to live, they have basically every capacity that we can have on an emotional level. And yeah, the impact of having befriended them is, lasting long after they're gone. If you've attended any animal rights demo in Sydney over the span of the last decade or so, you'd have likely come across a friendly Polish man in glasses wearing a punk straight edge graphic t-shirt. Paweł Zawiślak's grounded energy and steadfastness has been instrumental in shaping the Sydney animal rights scene. When I first started attending Cube of Truths, I was hesitant to chat with fellow activists, let alone have any verbal exchanges with the public. So I would just bashfully hand out flyers to passerbys. Paweł would have noticed that I was a shy newcomer and approached me gently and encouraged me to have my first outreach conversation, which I did. I know that Paweł has similarly made so many others feel warmly welcomed and that it is noticed. Please welcome Paweł to the microphone.
Hello, good people. Look at you all. That's an impressive crowd. Are there any non-vegans or still on the fence people here? All right. Apologies, I don't mean to put you on a spot. I just hope that today will be your turning point and you will leave with a new mindset. But since the majority of us here are vegan, I'm afraid I'm going to have to preach to the choir a little bit and address a few things that concern you and the matter that brought us here in the first place. Before I get on with the speech, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of this land, the Gadigal people. It always was and always will be Aboriginal land. I wish we had reliable stats indicating number of vegans and activists in Sydney. The sources are vague and show major discrepancies. But regardless, I think we all have a pretty good understanding how our local scene looks like. I did some rough calculations, and it looks like we have about 30 operating vegan eateries and about the same amount of small non-food related businesses. As of now, there are no vegan markets, no festivals of any kind. To put things into perspective, about 10 years ago, we used to have 3 major vegan events a year, including Cruelty-Free Festival, Vegan Festival, and Vegan Expo. Remember those? How about those massive vegan markets once a month back in 2019? I bet you all miss those. Yep, times have changed. The economic slump bites everyone in the ass. In the past 4-5 years, we have faced closures of many of our favorite vegan businesses, leaving many of us heartbroken and unemployed. I'm not an economist, but it seems obvious that in order to build things up, we need to drive demand back up first. So given the financial struggle we are facing, can we do it? Can we have more places and gatherings facilitating our needs that don't clash with our values? I believe we can. Here's the thing though. This won't happen just like that. It will require work. It's gonna take some dedication, passion, diligence, and perhaps, most importantly, a strong, supportive community. So what's the condition of our community? Is it big? Strong? I used to think so. Not so much anymore. Please raise your hand if you personally know at least one vegan dropout. There you go. I'm sure we can make a shamefully long list of those. Obviously, certain things are beyond our control. We can't be responsible for other people's decisions. But we certainly can inspire others so they can fill up those missing spots. And this is where the actual work comes in. I know that many vegans are dreading this, but this can only be done through activism. Our Sydney activism scene is comprised of pretty much the same individuals. Obviously, there's a slight rotation. Some people come, some people go, but for the most part, it's the same soup of familiar ingredients and flavors. Always the same, beautiful and vibrant, yet still the same faces. So how comes so rarely we get to see new activists? Don't you think that's detrimental to our cause? I think it shows we are losing momentum. We are becoming stagnant. I would hope that we all became vegan for the same reason, to give animals well-deserved and the most basic rights to live and be free. But can we give them that if we're passive? If we turn a blind eye on their injustice? So many vegans these days sit in silence, hoping that animal liberation descends on Earth out of the thin air. If you believe that, I'm sorry, but you might be delusional. No social change, ever, was made in silence. They were all forged in blood, sweat, and tears, through struggle, going against the stream, and challenging the status quo. The second major detriment is an army of fierce keyboard warriors. They are brave and cocky behind the computer screens. They are quick to judge, insult, and dare to criticize those who actually do something other than just yapping on the internet. I wish they could channel all that passion and energy for a good cause instead of undermining other people's efforts. I spoke extensively about infighting in my NARD speech earlier this year, so I will spare you repeating myself. I just want to add that I would rather have a poorly performed activism than no activism at all. The third reason why we have decreased in numbers is the lack of support. In a span of 10 years of my animal rights advocacy, I have witnessed way too many burnouts. Many people whom I would see every week are gone now and no longer engaged in our fight. And I'm not talking about those who dropped the ball or those who got trapped in an adult life grinding wheel. I'm talking about vegans for whom activism has become too overwhelming. Can we blame them? If you ever spoke on behalf of oppressed animals, you know how taxing, dealing with non-vegans can be. This can be a heavy baggage to carry. In order to resist burnout and make our activism sustainable, we need to surround ourselves with kind, welcoming, and inclusive people. We need to know that they have our backs and they won't crumble under pressure. It's also a matter of knowing when to press a pause button. Every now and then, we all need to take some time off to reflect, get rest, and recharge our batteries. Bear with me. There's always time and place to have fun too, and we shouldn't be ashamed of it. I believe this is not only an integral part of sustainable activism, but also our mental health. Picnics, hikes, dining out, movie nights, game nights, dress-up parties, sports activities, and so on. There's so much we can do to make our bonds stronger. When it comes to animal rights activism, it can come in different shapes and forms. Anything from community and group-based activism to solo activism. So what are those specifically? Well, we have public demonstrations and protests, street outreach, online outreach, disruptions, direct actions, rescues, vigils, adoptions, animal sanctuaries, lobbying and politics, social media activism, and art. It would seem that at least each of us can find at least one outlet that we're comfortable with and we're good at. If you're shy or don't like public confrontations, but you're creative, you can utilize your talent and create something that will resonate with people. And if you don't have an artistic bone in your body, but you have a big mouth and can't shut up, we need you out in the streets. Please, don't just think, do something. You alone can make a tremendous difference. Dalai Lama once said, if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. Now, if you feel compelled to get active and you live in Sydney, we've got your back. I'm going to list a few animal rights organizations that will be more than happy to have you on board. 1. Animal Justice Party is the only political party in Australia fighting for animal rights on legislative level since 2009. Look them up and join them. And the good news is, you wouldn't have to commute to Canberra back and forth to be a part of it. 2. Save Poppy, created by a powerhouse activist, Andy Faulkner, who has been running it for over 10 years now. We do demonstrations, direct actions, and street outreach. Recently, our demos got a makeover, transforming the cube of screams into animal funeral. This format has been proving to be quite successful and social media hot topic among teens. You can find us every Saturday afternoon on Pitt Street Mall. No skills nor experience required, just heart in the right place and sound logic. 3. ARAS, which stands for Animal Rights Activism Sydney, was built in 2018 on debris of Anonymous for the Voiceless Sydney chapter. It's an umbrella for all sorts of events, but mostly street outreach. 4. We the Free Sydney chapter was established nearly 3 years ago. It's an all-inclusive group of activists doing street outreach demonstrations every Saturday afternoon at Town Hall and twice a month in Parramatta. If you live far from the city but you want to get involved, you can set up your own chapter. Just reach out to us, preferably to Kai Macbeth, who's a regional support leader for Oceania. 5. Sydney Save Animals in Laboratories. Exposes what happens to animals behind closed doors in the name of science. Well, pseudoscience. You can attend vigils once a month on Friday afternoons at Royal Prince Alfred Hospital in Camberdown. Hats off to Kevin Flavia Coleman for doing it, despite a lousy support from the community. Please help him out. 6. Drop Croc is an ongoing pressure campaign to force a luxury brand Hermes to ditch use of crocodiles for their overpriced and unnecessary products. You can find us once a month in front of Hermes store on King Street. A shout out to Eugene Lubarski for holding the steer. I'm gonna have to cut my list short, but I assure you there are more organizations out there. If you're interested to explore those or other options, hit me up afterwards. I'll be happy to provide you some links or add you to our group chats. I want to end with a quote which I'll probably get some heat for, but I really couldn't find more adequate words to inspire you to fight injustice. The quote is from a great civil rights activist, Martin Luther King Jr. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Thank you.
Thank you for a motivating speech, Paweł. We are so lucky in Sydney to have the diversity of demos and campaigns and so many activist groups. So if the incentive is there in you, there is space for you. Our final speaker recounted her childhood bond with a cowering mouse and a purring hen during her inaugural speech as the Animal Justice Party's first MP in New South Wales Parliament. She detailed the final moments of Tommy the steer, subjected to torment in the live export industry, and the mother dairy cow bellowing after her stolen baby to a room full of politicians. It is not often we get to see this tenderness displayed in a space that so often lacks heart, especially for the species that our government does not even recognise as victims. Please welcome the Honourable Emma Hurst to the microphone.
Thank you for those kind words. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land on which we meet and pay my respects to elders past and present. We are here today because we refuse to look away. When they say you won't, we say watch us. I want to thank Matt for his very kind words, and I also want to thank every other speaker we've had today, and in particular Lynda Stoner, who has been working in the animal protection movement for decades. I've just come from a very stressful and difficult double sitting week in Parliament. In the middle of those 2 weeks, we had a protest at the $1 Million Disgrace greyhound race. And the week after that, we had 3 MPs put up motions to celebrate this industry. This is despite the fact that this industry is killing dogs. 440 greyhounds have died in New South Wales in the last year alone from accidents and injuries, and 1,153 greyhounds died linked to this industry in the same year alone. At the same time, we had 3 bills that we had to face. We had a bill from the Shooters Party. They have a bill to open up 50,000 hectares of shared public space for hunting and $7.9 million of taxpayers' money to set up a gun lobby in New South Wales. Now that's despite the fact that when we try to ban things like battery cages in New South Wales, the government says that they don't have any money. Yet they somehow found this 7.9 million and even put it in the last New South Wales budget on behalf of the Shooters Party. We then had another bill put forward by the Legalised Cannabis Party in the Upper House to shoot all remaining horses at Kosciuszko National Park. That's despite a botched aerial shooting spree that the government has already completed, killing thousands of horses during foaling season. We saw animals with multiple bullet wounds in them, and we saw abandoned foals who were left to starvation or predation as well. Again, this bill was put up despite the fact that there are humane and non-lethal alternatives to deal with the situation. Then we had a third bill to kill homeless cats, to kill thousands of homeless cats. Again, despite the fact that there are alternatives. We did an upper house inquiry and we heard that these killing programs actually do nothing to protect wildlife and reduce the number of homeless cats in the long term. We had advice even from the RSPCA that there are better and more humane solutions around desexing and educating people to keep their cats inside. Despite that, this bill was put forward by the Greens knowing that thousands of cats would be killed. At the same time, we're seeing more deals with the government supporting a lower house MP who wants to reintroduce shock collars for animals. Shock collars are put around an animal's neck and they are given electric shocks through the neck. They were banned years ago because they were considered extremely cruel. They are used as a form of punishment to teach dogs. However, now because the farming industry wants to use them on cows instead of dogs, the government is agreeing to help that MP to remove those laws and allow shock collars to be legal again. So I came out of this week feeling pretty awful, because when you've got a government that's willing to make dirty deals and to use animals as trading cards to get support from other MPs, you can end up feeling really kind of hopeless in these situations. But coming here today and preparing to be here today, I realised that change never comes from the top. Change comes from people like us. Change comes from moments like this. And in the same double sitting week, I passed my 5th bill to protect animals in New South Wales Parliament. There is only one other crossbencher in the upper house that has ever passed a bill, and they have passed one bill. And so I realised, looking at our movement, and all of those awful things that I mentioned so far have not passed, and me and my team will continue to fight against them with everything that we have. And I realised that the reason why we continue to make major changes and have major wins is because each of us in the animal protection movement brings 100 times the energy and the love and the compassion than any of these other groups do. And I want to thank you, all of you today, for daring to have that compassion, for daring to care, and for daring to fight for something that is so much bigger than any one of us. And I know here today, and coming here and seeing everyone here today, that we will one day come to a world where the community will be here with us and will be wondering how we ever allowed pigs to be gassed. And the community will be standing with us wondering how we ever allowed slaughterhouses to continue. And the community will be standing here with us wondering why we ever allowed joeys to be bashed to death in the kangaroo killing industry. And they will be here with us, and we will be looking back and wondering together how this was ever allowed. And I know that that progress is coming because I have seen it in the years that I've been in Parliament. When I first got elected, I think it was almost like I was a joke, that it was, here's this woman who thinks that we're going to care about animals. Most people, if they wanted to talk to me, would say, I like dogs too. And I don't think they really got it. And so I started to work with them, and we started to make changes in laws around the link between domestic violence and animal abuse. We started to change laws around animal sexual abuse. we started to change laws around companion animals. And through time, people in Parliament and politicians across the board have become more and more aware of animal protection and animal cruelty issues, to such a point that last year we passed a bill to protect mice and rats. Now, when I first was elected into Parliament, if I brought on a bill to protect mice and rats, I don't think it would have passed, because it's not just my vote. I have to get the majority of politicians in my house and then in the other house as well. So I have to get one of the major parties, and then I still have to get a significant number of crossbenchers as well across the line. So the bill we passed last year was to stop forced smoking and forced swim tests. In forced swim tests, animals are dropped into buckets or beakers of water and they are drowned. Most of the time, many of them actually die in these experiments. And in forced smoking experiments, animals are put into a tube and cigarette smoke is forcibly pumped into their nostrils. If they move, they may asphyxiate and die in these experiments. These are extremely cruel experiments. Now, not only did I convince these politicians to care about the mice and rats that are put into these experiments, but we are the first place around the world that has ever outlawed these experiments. And because we've outlawed them here, it's allowed other politicians in other countries, and I think it was the UK that's now moving to also ban forced swim tests as well. So we're actually in some ways being able to lead the way in changes worldwide. So I come today with hope and seeing how many people are here today. Because when we get to that world where we have the community here with us, looking back at these atrocities and wondering how we ever allowed that to happen, that change will be because of you. That change will be because each one of you has been one of the first people to stand up and to say, we will fight this is wrong, and no one's going to stop us until we get to that world. So I thank you again. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma, for the incredible strides that you have made for the animals in Parliament and showcasing the efficacy of policy change. Today's march will be silent and led by a procession of drums. Animals do have a voice, but their voices are silenced by the apathy of broader society, our government, and the institutions directly responsible for their enslavement. The marching route is about 2.3 kilometres from start to finish, and we will be moving at a slow walking pace. Please stick to the left side of the road as we exit the park. The majority of the route will be straight down Pitt Street. For those who are unable or not wanting to walk the full distance, please turn right when we hit Park Street and go straight to the Water, Fire and Earth sculpture in Hyde Park. Please try to keep chatter to a minimum and remain quiet during the march. A silent march is powerful, not only for the public who hear our drums reverberating through the city buildings and stop to receive our message through our signs, but for us. It gives us time to reflect on the daily horrors of the billions, so please remain silent and take a moment. There will be a couple of closing songs at Hyde Park to conclude the march, and when you reach the finish point, please settle onto the grass, keeping clear of the footpath. The drummers will continue to drum until all of us have arrived, and then our musicians will close out the march.
That was like how I was struggling to get up after sitting there for so long. Yeah, she needs a hand. Yeah, I say they're going to march now. Just from that last clip you would have heard, it's going to be a silent march along Pitt Street for 2.3 kilometres to Hyde Park. I'm not quite sure, but we shall see. So yeah, this it's hard to estimate crowds when you're at these things, but we'll get out of the way of that photo. But I'd say there's a few hundred, maybe 400, maybe 200, maybe I don't know what, but yeah. Anyway, they're going to go down to the bottom here, so I'm assuming that the march will, excuse me, someone's left the microphone on so you can hear it through the speakers. Yeah, it'll start down here. Well, there's a banner, there's someone with a banner on the ground, so that will be the beginning of the march. And that's enough. We'll just have one more pan around of the crowd. The cops are down there, there's both the usual regulars, Gary and the usual off-sider dude that's with him. I got some people there, some vegan treats for the end, some apples and oranges. All right, so I'd say it's going to kick off very soon. I think we're kind of a homeless guy. Excuse me, it's so dusty here. There's a homeless guy living in the back here. He's got one of those e-bikes. I don't think maybe he uses it. There's another one. There's another sort of encampment just down there too. Used to be heaps here a few years ago, and they got rid of them all. All right, we'll wait until it starts. All right, they're about to start. There's one mainstream media guy turned up. There's zero media here that I can see anyway. Otherwise, other than people that are organised with them as part of them. But they're starting to rally behind the banner now. Animal City Animal Rights March. Give you a bit more of an idea of the crowd size. I'll just pass here with these 3 Dalmatians. Pretty cool. Chair, favourite. I'm assuming he's part of it. Just waiting on getting the nod, and then it'll kick off. They're going to have the drummers, and it's going to be silent. So it's like banner, drummers, and then silent procession afterwards. Once the nod is. All right, the drumming is starting. It's very, very marchy drumming. This is the end of the group. We'll head on down to the front now because they're going to go very slow, they said, so she'll be able to get right to the front again. Alright, so this is the corner of Pitt and something Street. This guy filming from his car. So they're just heading up Pitt Street now. And then the rest coming through from Belmore Park. So we'll jump up to the front again. They are going at a bit of a pace, not too fast but not too slow. But we'll catch them. We'll catch them before they get to Goulburn Street. We missed them at this next one, which is the corner of Pitt and something North Street, Campbell Street. I got that one because I saw the sign. All right, let's head up. All right, true to my word, corner of Goulburn and Pitt, and they're just cops are just going through and they're arriving right now. So you might be able to see now the whole group. But they're continuing up now, up Pitt Street towards, the next one will be Liverpool. That's the entry down into the Royal Tower, which is above us, Lord Square. Okay, let's head up again. Oh, there's a bathroom, maybe a quick bathroom break. Alright, I just had a short break, or should I say a wee break, just inside the World Square, but now bloody miles behind. Anyway, the cops at the back here are just telling everyone to keep moving, because I guess the traffic is going to crawl behind, because it's move. Because one way here, I think it's one way all the way from the last corner. There's a guy with his Dalmatians at the rear. No cop horses or anything today, which probably would have been more of an appropriate day to have them than half the time they have them. All right, stop shaking as you walk. And all right, let's try and get up the front. I think they have dispersed here and slowed down, so we might be able to. Going past the Department of Defence, that building there. No stopping. True to their word as to being a quiet rally. There's been no chanting, no anything much. Just the drumming. If you want to cut out when you get here into Park Street to head off, because you can get up something on at the Hyde Park tracking here, but there's a swag that we're just cutting off to the right here to head up to Hyde Park. Which is like, it'll lower the numbers, but it's not a great amount. It's just that little group, that seemed to be a group of kids that did it. It gives a better look at the length of the crowd here, because it's snaked out again a bit. It's got narrow. There's a good number of people, several hundred. Always hard to pick it. So 90% of Aussie pigs will spend there. Well, she did say it was 2.3 or 2.6 kilometres, and I thought they're going to go to Hyde Park, but they've gone the wrong way now. They're turning left here at Market Street, which is going to take them up to, or back up to George, and then they'll loop around, I guess, past around the back of the QBB, and then who knows? We'll just wait and see. This is the puppies at the end. We'll get a view from the rear looking up. Or will we? Oh, appreciate it. Very generous. March is just going through the corner of George and Market Street now. Everyone just sort of standing. They could easily cross, but I don't know, the people they just stand and wait till they're given the okay. And yeah, nobody look up though. Whatever you do, don't look up. There's nothing to see in the sky around here. Just beautiful, long, fluffy, straight clouds dispersing. All right, so we've taken a shortcut up George Street, up the tramway to this corner here of Park, or Druitt Park and George, QBB, and they'll be coming around the corner very, very soon to head up that way. But in the meantime, there's you've got Ukrainians. So let's just go and have a look and see what's going on with the Ukrainians while we're here. Well, fuck, no, we're not. And then you've got the Jesus people are here, the Christians, and the Ukrainians are getting a bit loud. So the cops, we've got one lot of cops here for the Ukrainians, who generally don't ever march. I think they meet here each week. And you've got the Japan Expo on as well, and there's a fluffy little, cuddly little whatever the hell he is. Guy's going off about something. Oh, we need your help. So it's the Ukrainians wanting help.
Australia, Ukraine needs your help!
For 3 years and 7 months, Ukraine is fighting it alone.
Gosh, I haven't been for months. It's the same guy, same thing.
But unfortunately,
same guy filming as well.
Declining, while the intensity of the war is only increasing. And Russia's help is on the rise. Exports of dual-use equipment out of China have skyrocketed. All those drones that China banned for sending to Ukraine.
I don't know what the yellow, green, and red flag is.
Supply to
Orange,
Russia multiple
gold,
times.
gold, green, and red.
And drone parts and everything related to drones. This is the reality of today. North Korea alone, one of the poorest countries we have on the planet, sent more artillery shells to Russia
back over to the
than the entire
animal people. There's not many cops, only a couple of cops here, but just we'll have a look at this fluffy thing. By the time we get there, they'll be back, I'd say. So it's probably something that people know about that I just have no bloody idea about. On Nagoya Sydney partnership, can't see the protesters in the back because they should be coming through that gap. If they are going to go that way, they might be going on an extra bloody long walk, and now I've lost them, but I can't lose them completely. This is the town hall, looking down from the town hall, and then you've got the Ukrainians, and then you've got the animal rights activists on the way. Go, just come up, brother, you don't need to, he's telling me to get out of the way so you can take a photo. You just walk up the bloody steps. Cool. Christians, not really a protest, but they're always here. Alright, so I guess we'll just camp out here until the animal rights group returns. Maybe I'll get the higher ground up there, see how we go. Alright, I made a mistake. I zigged and they zagged. So I had to run a few blocks to catch up here at Hyde Park. There is something going on in Hyde Park as well. I'm sure, yeah, the cops will force them in here at the St James entry, corner of Market and Lisbon. Yeah, they lost a few along the way. I think the ones that went up there early. It's still a good number. It's still going. Mostly quiet, other than the drumming and the police radios, and my huffing and puffing as I try and talk. But we'll follow them in. Some Iranians up here as well, so I'm not quite sure where these guys are going to go. They said there was something else here, but it could be at the other end of the park. Hey, go, Bella. So I think once these guys oh yeah, there's more. Oh no, that's the guy just hello to, he's the singer. He's always he's very good because he shuts down when there's something happens. He does shut the whole show down for him, which he doesn't need to, of course. Where they go from here is anyone's guess. Looks like they go left. I don't know how they gather. They're going to spread around the mountain, I think. The visuals. So nice and that. So I think that was just a very quick stop and gather, and now they're off again to the next location, which is in Hyde Park, but maybe the other end in a memorial. better idea of the numbers now, how many are here. Someone told me there is something on, but I've forgotten what it is. I mean, I never knew what it was, but I've certainly forgotten what they told me. Mainstream media guys still floating. Oh, it's down here now. They're going down this way. Okay. Maybe the gathering will be down there. That'll leave Mr. Muzo some time to... it's got bloody spray again. It'll give the Muzo time to get back to action. That's not him. He's with the Iranians. It's one of my favourite spots right here because they've got a bubbler. Pop in for a drink. Oh, the lady's giving the dog a drink of water, but that's alright. I don't mind sharing. I've seen a lot of these Lederhausen people everywhere, so there must be something going on here as well. It's a bit of fencing, but it's just generally for the works. But I think they do have another setup here where they are gonna. Oh, they've got a whole bunch of vegan lunch boxes waiting for everyone, I think. Yeah, so this is where, because of the shit show that's going on here, there's not a great amount of area to congregate for things. Let's sneaky through. Sideways shuffle. So I think the cops have given them this little... the cops, oh no, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, a couple of cops around still, not many. I think they disperse once the people get off the streets, which is of course what they're there for, to make sure no one gets bloody will run over. What are they called? It's called a... Mama B's miso glazed tofu on my chocolate chip cookie. Probably not the only one, I would think. Speeches. Microphone is set up on the other side. So. Oh no, it looks like it's not a microphone. It's not a speeches. It's a microphone. It's going to be a microphone for singing. So maybe say, hang around for 5 more minutes. I'll get my bun me, and I'm out of here. No, I'm not getting a bun me. Oh.
They say, who cares? me. Oh, and you're angry, and you shouldn't be. It's not fair. Just 'cause you can't see it doesn't mean it isn't there. If they say, who cares if one more light goes out in a sky of a million stars? It flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If a moment is all we are, we're quicker, quicker. Who cares if one more light goes out? When I do. They say, who cares if one more light goes out in a sky of a million stars? It flickers, flickers. Who cares when someone's time runs out? If a moment is all we are, we're quicker, quicker. Who cares if one more light goes out? When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountains should crumble into the sea, I won't cry, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here, for coming together. More powerful than you know. This is I on the guitar. I'm Josh. Thank you so much.
So that's it. A lot more Lederhausen-y type people turning up for for whatever the reason may be, but there's something Lederhausen-y here. And that's, well, I don't know if it's it, they'll probably continue a bit, but the people are going to get their sandwiches, and the bloke just said thanks very much. It's only 2 songs. Oh, the lady in charge is coming over again. just have a quick listen to her and then we'll go away. It's thirsty work this, and I'm bloody thirsty.
Thank you, Josh and Kai, for that beautiful music. I've not heard you sing before, Josh. Amazing. Food will be out soon, but until then, anyone who's not already a member of the Animal Justice Party, please come to this general area and Louise Ward will help sign you up. Thank you also for the police for guiding us on the 2.3k march. And before you leave today's event, I want to impress upon you how lucky we are, as Paweł already talked us through, of how active and a diverse animal rights movement we already have here in Sydney. From coordinated policy submission writing workshops to university education and event protests, there is something here for everyone, and if there isn't, you can create it. Right now, Andy Faulkner has set up the Animals Funeral at Pitt Street Mall, having been set up since noon today. It is a chance for all vegans to pay their respects to the animals they once enslaved. The funeral doesn't speak. The funeral music plays, and 20 to 40,000 shoppers stare at large animal images and signs reading, "Be vegan, not violent," and YouTube Dominion. Vegans can feel safe attending this with security guards provided. No outreach speaking is necessary at this one kind of event that has now been seen by 80 million non-vegans in the past 24 funerals, mostly on TikTok. Please head there immediately after this event, after lunch, to help the animals. You'll be welcomed with open arms. We also have the Love Food Fair, a plant-based Buddhist initiative held next Tuesday and Wednesday, October the 28th and the 29th at Martin Place. Another regular event we have is the We the Free demo, held I think currently on a fortnightly basis on Saturdays at Town Hall from 3 p.m. Thank you everyone, and please keep this energy going.
All right, so that is it, finally, that is it now. We're going to have their lunch, and shall bid them adieu. Oh no, one more. What
The
is
food
that?
is over there.
Okay, no,
Just
doesn't need too
remember
much.
what you ordered because they're holding up the signs
Oh geez,
for
okay.
the corresponding
No.
meals.
Okay, I didn't grab mine. All right, that's it. We're out of here. Signing out from Hyde Park. I don't know how the hell to get out of here. There's a fence there.